Alright, let's dive right into this explainer. For the longest time at apparel manufacturing, we've kind of just treated hot weather as a basic worker comfort issue. Throw up some fans, open the windows, and call it a day. But the reality, extreme heat has rapidly evolved into a critical production and supply chain risk. It's a risk that factories and brands literally can no longer afford to ignore.
Get a load of this number, 10%. Recent reports are showing that garment factories in India, specifically those supplying international brands, are losing up to 10% of their productivity during periods of extreme heat. Now, 10% might look like a tiny number on a spreadsheet, but out on the factory floor, that translates directly to fewer finished pieces every single day, delayed shipments, and seriously scrambled schedules.
And when we zoom out to the macro level, we're looking at a $65.8 billion problem. By 2030, major apparel hubs across Vietnam, Cambodia, Pakistan, and Bangladesh could lose exactly this much in export earnings, alongside potentially 1 million jobs, driven purely by heat and flooding. To put that into perspective, this is a massive financial risk for the entire global supply chain.
Historically, the apparel sector has put a huge focus on long-term sustainability goals, right? We're talking carbon emissions, recycled materials, energy-saving equipment, and those are absolutely crucial. But today, factory management teams are facing immediate climate risks directly on the floor. When it gets too hot, workers face fatigue, slower hand speeds, and a real loss of focus that impacts daily output. And this brilliantly illustrates the ripple effect, because a delay rarely happens all at once. It builds process by process. Fabric preparation slows down, so the cutting room sits there waiting. Then, the sewing line stalls out because they're waiting for cut panels. Next thing you know, the pressing process lags, and finally, packing loses precious time at the end of the day. A minor afternoon slowdown completely cascades into massive shipment pressure and forced overtime. But here's the catch. Output isn't the only risk. Working long shifts in a hot, humid environment fundamentally hurts concentration. So you don't just get a drop in productivity, you get a major quality drop too. Fatigue leads to a loss of hand control, missed defects, and totally inconsistent judgment across the floor. These heat-related quality risks are incredibly specific and they are highly costly. We're talking about skipped stitches, uneven seams, measurement mistakes, you name it. When workers lose that sharp focus due to the heat, you get missed defects in final checks, which ultimately results in a sharp, expensive increase in rework. So this brings us to a really important question for anyone running a facility. Does your standard capacity actually match your summer reality? Planning your production based on average, cooler season capacity is becoming a huge gamble when extreme heat fundamentally changes actual day-to-day shop floor performance. And it's important to remember that heat doesn't impact every department equally. Office teams might stay pretty steady, but a crowded sewing line, especially one with poor airflow, is almost certainly going to see a drop in afternoon output. Meanwhile, your pressing and boiler rooms, they feel that heat pressure and lose efficiency significantly, and usually much earlier in the shift. Which brings us to the major challenge here. Without digital records, managers look at a delay and are essentially left guessing. Was it a labor shortage, machine downtime, fabric issues, or was it actually heat-related fatigue? Without accurate, granular tracking, the true impact of extreme heat stays hidden, just chalked up to generic process bottlenecks. The first step is visibility, knowing which numbers are moving. So before you go planning a massive multi-million-dollar HVAC renovation, you absolutely must start with data visibility. Monitor those hourly output drops to compare afternoon versus morning speeds, track sudden spikes in downtime or rework. By digitizing equipment status and inspection results, managers can actually see problems forming way before they become urgent crises. Alongside that visibility, specific automation tools can be a real game changer for hotter environments. Things like automatic spreading and cutting, conveyors, barcode scanning, or AI fabric inspection. When the floor gets dangerously hot, these tools absorb the heavy physical strain and repetitive manual work that would otherwise fall on your fatigued workers. There's a powerful point to be made here. A data report that just sits in a folder after the goods have shipped does absolutely nothing to help daily production. Data needs to be an active part of the management process. Real-time visibility is exactly what gives supervisors the critical time they need to adjust staff and shift schedules right in the middle of a heat wave. And for all the sourcing and supply chain teams out there, heat management is rapidly becoming a key part of buyer-supplier evaluations and risk checks. A competitive supplier isn't just the one with the lowest price anymore. Honestly, it's the factory that can actually prove they maintain steady production and quality during the hottest seasons of the year. So, I'll leave you with this. When temperatures rise, will your factory have the data visibility to keep quality and delivery under control? Extreme heat is a fundamental, direct production risk on the floor. It is definitely time to make sure your factory's climate resilience and smart manufacturing setups are ready for the challenge. Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me. Catch you next time.